The shoulder test aims to provide a reliable tool for measuring joint range of motion to assess their mobility. The protocol was developed to provide therapists with the data necessary for analyzing functional limitations. To proceed with the new acquisition, in the test section of the patient screen, click on Shoulder Test. As shown by the pop-up, to obtain reliable and repeatable data during the execution of the test, it is necessary to correctly position the sensor on the subject to be evaluated. For the shoulder test, the sensor must be attached to the appropriate belt and positioned laterally on the arm and distantly 1/3 along the line that joins the acromion to the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. The pop-ups also guide us in choosing which arm to evaluate, selecting the direction of movement, recording the test, and explaining the test to the patient. For the test result to be considered reliable, it is necessary to explain to the subject how to perform the test. The shoulder test consists of 3 movements: flexion-extension, abduction-adduction, intra-extra rotation. During the acquisition, it is possible to acquire all or only some movements as requested by the user. The execution of each of the movements is illustrated below. To obtain optimal results, it is recommended to check the position of the sensor before starting the acquisition of each movement. Before starting the acquisition, it is necessary to select which side we want to evaluate. In this example, we choose the right side. Then, select the first direction of movement that we want to evaluate, in this case, the flexion-extension movement. Starting from the orthostatic position, with the arms at his side and the elbow extended, the subject rotates the arm upward, bringing the palms towards the body. Then, have the subject return back to neutral position and rotate the arm backwards behind the body. Once the patient is ready, start the acquisition by clicking on Rec. During the stabilization phase, the patient must remain still, as shown by the stabilization ring. When the bar reaches the end of the progression, the test begins. The subject must then move the arm by performing 1 or more movements of maximum flexion and then maximum extension, each time returning to the initial neutral position. During the movement, have the subject keep the palm turned towards the body. Once the selected movement has been performed, click on Stop to finish the acquisition of the movement. If the test has been acquired correctly, a check is displayed next to the movement performed. At this point, it is possible to select the acquisition of the abduction-adduction movement. The subject again starts the test in an orthostatic position with the arm along the side in an anatomical position. First, check the correct position of the sensor and adjust it if it's necessary. Once the patient is ready, start the acquisition by clicking on Rec. Again, wait until the stabilization ring disappears before starting the test. The subject then moves the arm, making 1 or more movements of maximum abduction and maximum adduction with the elbow extended, then returns to the initial position. During the movement, ask the subject to keep the palm rotated as in starting the position. Once the selected movement has been performed, click on Stop to finish the acquisition of the movement. If the test has been acquired correctly, a check is displayed next to the movement performed. Finally, we will acquire the internal-external shoulder rotation. The subject again starts the test in an orthostatic position, with the arm abducted at 90 degrees, the elbow flexed at 90 degrees, and closed fist. Before starting the test, always check the correct position of the sensor and adjust it if it's necessary. Once the patient is ready, start the acquisition by clicking on Rec. When the bar reaches the end of the progression, the ring disappears and the test can begin. The subject then moves his arm, making 1 or more movements of maximum external rotation and maximum internal rotation. Each time returns to the initial position. Once the selected movement has been performed, click on Stop to finish the acquisition of the movement. If the test has been acquired correctly, a check is displayed next to the movement performed. Once the acquisitions are completed, save the test by selecting the Save icon. The report page is then displayed showing the maximum range of movement reached in the 3 direction of movement, and the average angular speed. Furthermore, the operator can add a visual analogic scale to denote if the subject experienced any discomfort for each movement during the test.